everyone is important. All of you have been part of my life all this while. And I thank you for coming. I welcome all of you. And for those who will come later and join us, I welcome them ahead of time. God bless you.
Well, under the military, we were fighting what you could call a common enemy. Almost everybody wanted the military to go, although the military also had its own apologies. But in the civilian setting, there's some difference. Even if you look at the level of ownership, you have ownership of the media by politicians, ownership by business interests, and we'll be pretending to say that this does not affect what the media reports. But in spite of that, and in spite of the challenges, I would say that the media in Nigeria has tried to its possible best to hold the leadership accountable to the people, including the area of security. The problem we have is the fact that the government of the day does not see the media as a credible partner. And so the media that you expect to provide credible information is the same media that is being handed in different ways through legislations that curtail press freedom or legislations that would further curtail press freedom. It doesn't make sense in a situation of insecurity, for example, to order the media, the broadcast media, as the National Broadcasting Commission did, not to report acts of insurgencies, killings. We do advocate that journalists should be conflict sensitive, especially when you are reporting casualty figures. That is very, very important. We need to be professional. But when you then say that we should not report, that means that you are not allowing the media to play the role it should play in fighting insecurity. And one of these roles is that of providing early warning signals. The media gathers information. Journalists go around. So when you hear of troubles or people are saying we are seeing movement of arms and so on, those kinds of reportings also help the intelligence agencies to gather information that will be very useful to them. The other part of this equation is that this government also does not even see the need to take the media into confidence. The truth of the matter is that if you look at some of the major invasions by America, the invasion of Iraq, the invasion of Afghanistan and so on, all those invasions were to the knowledge of the media. But there was also that understanding of what you felt should not be reported, at certain times and so on and so forth. So we've been talking about the role of the media in fighting security. We therefore have to talk about the persecution to which the media is being subjected, even when it tries to report objectively, including, if you recall, under Buratai's chief of army tenure, the arrest, the invasion of Daily Trust, because they said Daily Trust was providing information and so on. So we feel that at this level, there should be more discussion, more understanding on the role of the media. And I go very quickly, because earlier on you talked about this problem of activists going to government and becoming something else. I also think it's about belief of people. If you join the government, then you stand for those ideals. But it's also a reflection, of our political system. And one of the ways by which we could get people into office, not just activists, but people who can stand, is for us to have, political parties that develop important codes of conduct. And I give the example of what we did when we went into politics briefly in 2003 under the National Conscience Party, led by late Chief Gani Fawemi. I stood as a candidate in that election. But the moment we were all elected as candidates, we had to sign what you could call a memorandum of understanding. It was not an oath, but it was a decision of the party. And part of the things we signed to was that if you were elected as a councillor or senator or whatever, you would not change your residence from where you were living as at the time you were elected. You had to live there until after your tenure. You would have to declare your assets not just to the Code of Conduct Politburo, but even to the political party itself. So you had a party really that developed some set of conduct for its own members on which basis they were allowed to contest elections. I think we need to look at systems like this for leadership to work. And I think finally, this has been missing in conversation about leadership. The guest speaker talked about a president that can go, or that should go to the National Assembly, meet the speaker, meet the Senate president and say that I want these things done. Unfortunately, Your Excellency, I do not think that the presidential system allows for that. The presidential system is a system that really, makes, and it's only in few cases where you have, exceptions. Because essentially, the presidential system is fashioned after military governance. So you needed an Aso Rock fortress where you keep the president, and essentially is cut off from information. That is the reality. Because that is so you get information that you want to get. I mean, they want the president to know. I would have felt that a parliamentary system of government would really remove all these bureaucracies. I prefer that system where everybody in government is elected. Ministers are elected, everybody is elected. You cannot even have, a president that is incapacitated under a parliamentary system, because you are a parliamentarian, you have to be on the floor, you have to ask questions. If today a British soldier is shot somewhere, we're not even talking of Boko Haram killing many of our soldiers, a British soldier is shot somewhere, the next hour, the Prime Minister is on the floor of the House of Commons in England asking questions. But the presidential system does not make that possible. I hope that one day we will revisit this, because truly, we do need a kind of national conversation in this country, all right, to address some of these problems. Okay.
So to your question, when you talk about women in society, what you have seen, what you have just painted is just an indication of the truth or the fact that we still live in a patriarchal society. No matter how much we say we are civilized or we are modern, it's still a patriarchal society. And I'm not I'm not a feminist, by the way. I'm a very old school woman. So I recognize the place of the woman in the society that is like a second class in a very good way, not in an oppressive way. And women will do well to recognize that and to feel that and to be comfortable in that position. So it is a fact that we have this issue, but I will go back a little to see how I can trace it and bring it, to see why we are this way, the way we are. First off, there's an unwritten ideology, I think, over this country. We all agree, we are all in no matter what party you are, no matter what your gender or your belief, there's something that we all agree about today, is that there's the fact that there's insecurity in Nigeria. We all diagnose this. We have the same diagnosis. We can all see, we can all analyze it. But how did we find ourselves here? How are we going to retrace our steps and get back to normalcy? There's an unwritten ideology over this country that I've seen. It's like a survival of the fittest. Everybody thinking about himself and herself. Even us here. I mean, it's so far to even begin to think about the president or the army, but let us even look at this simple, small social society. Even the family home, even the workplace and all of those things. There's that ideology that is affecting everybody. You just want to have your own way and you don't care about the next person. I see it as a function of a denial of our humanity and our humanism. Humanity designs us to reach out, to transcend to the other person, to transcend beyond yourself to the next person. Humanity designs us to be empathetic to the next person. The Creator designed us to reach out, to transcend beyond ourselves to the next person. So us not being able to do that is an indication of how bad humanity has fallen. And to be able to begin to correct the society all over again is to go back into who we are. Each person, regardless of our faith, to go back into who we are. Who am I essentially? What is within me? What do I know? How am I functioning in the capacity that my Creator has created me to function? There are 5 different realms we're supposed to function in as humans. We're supposed to function in the spiritual angle, in the physical realm, in the intellectual realm, in the emotional realm, and in the social sphere. We must have all of these skills. But how many people actually developed and competent in these different areas? How many people have social skills? Where are the organizations, faith-based organizations, the academia or the government institutions that are teaching and raising and developing people in the society, in these areas. That is where all of our problems stem from. But we just expect people to grow up from different environments and different backgrounds and different experiences, and we just expect them somehow because they went to school and they studied economics or government or studied something, we just expect them to just do well in society. It doesn't work that way. We must go back to start to be more deliberate and intentional in raising people before they even get to that level of governance. We must start from the home, from the schools, from the women, from different societies, and begin to really train ourselves, to begin to recover and rediscover our humanity. That is how we can make society better. And that is the only reason why we can be fair, regardless of gender or religion or whatever. That's the only way we can be fair to one another.
No, our focus has to be really on a leadership that can inspire change, a leadership with great vision, a leadership that is also up to date, a leadership that will not use outdated ideas to change or disrupt the system. So what we need critically at this point in time in Nigeria is a leadership that will acknowledge that we've all gone astray, but out of our heels as a society, we are ready to make a change. So we need that leadership. It's critical to national reawakening, it's critical to having a robust economy, it's critical to having a secured environment. So that leadership must be able to deal with the crisis of income inequality, must be able to deal with the crisis of lack of opportunities, must be able to deal with the crisis of poverty. So until we have this kind of leadership, we may not be able to deal with the problem of insecurity within our country.
Okay.
And he later became a founding chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Socioeconomic and Accountability Project, SERA. Richard is not only a learned colleague, but he's also a dear friend of mine, and a man of many gifts and talents, always multitasking, lawyer, journalist, activist, and author of 17 books on media, law, human rights, politics, and other issues of national development. I hear that he has now added another feather to his cap as a social media influencer. Richard has always been a man driven by passion for justice and fairness. All of us, his friends and associates, know him as a man comfortable in his own shoes, content, forthright, honest, and with the courage of his convictions. An outstanding fighter for all that is right and noble, always speaking out and supporting social justice and public-spirited causes, and all manner of progressive ideas. Richard played key roles in the struggle for democracy, especially during the Abacha years. At some point, spending time in detention and suffering so many deprivations. Today, Richard is as active as ever, as founder of the Richard Akinola Foundation, now more than a decade old, focusing on the welfare of widows of journalists and activists. Richard, I have the mandate of our friends to now ask that as you turn 63, you must realize that you are nearing 70 and you must slow down. So let me join my sister, Henrietta, who has been a pillar these many years, the children and grandchildren, all members of the family, our friends, associates, locally and internationally, to wish you a very happy 63rd birthday. I pray that as your day, so shall your strength, so shall your wisdom, and so shall your favor with God. In Jesus' mighty name. Happy birthday, my brother. God bless you.